Oh shoot. This one may not look like it, but it is the Jetson Bolt Pro, the original e-bike from Costco, and this is the Jetson Haze, the successor to the Jetson Bolt Pro. So what's the appeal of these Jetsons anyhow? Well, they are small, they are affordable, they're fun, and they're from Costco. You're gonna end up spending several $100s anyhow. For once, just think about yourself. These are commuter e-bikes, they are camping e-bikes, they are e-bikes made for extremely cheap Asians. In this video, we're going to compare the two to see which is the right one for you. Let's do a quick rundown of these electric bikes. 160mm rotors and mechanical brakes, integrated front lights, similar rubber grips. They both have fenders, just a little bit different. Jetson Haze has a rear light and it's a brake light. Both have similar kickstands and the motor. Both are 350 watt hub motors, yet they are quite different. We'll get back to that a little bit later. It's a decent motor and it gets you around and might even be considered fast because of the small frame. Okay, let's talk about the battery. The Jetson Haze has a 48 volt 7.5 amp hour battery. The Bolt Pro has a 36 volt 6 amp hour battery. The total capacity is a bit different. Due to the voltage, since true capacity is measured in watt hours, you might be thinking 1.5 amp hour difference. Well, the Bolt Pro has 216 watt hours, where the Jetson Haze has 360 watt hours. We're talking about a 67% difference. And the reason I calculate so fast is because I'm Asian, and if I didn't learn math, I'd be in foster care. Wow. All right, so this doesn't necessarily mean more range because there's other factors, and I'll cover that a little bit later. Speed. Let's talk about the speed of the 350 watt motor. The Jetson Haze advertises 15 miles an hour. The Bolt Pro advertises 15 miles per hour. And I was getting 14 and 13 respectively. The top speed is similar, but there are some differences. The Haze has a 48 volt battery, and feeding that controller the higher voltage means that it will produce higher wattage despite having the same motor. It will be less prone to weight drag issues, and if you're heavy, the Haze is much more responsive. There is a massive difference in climbing abilities. Here's the torque of the Jetson Haze. Oh shoot, what the hell? Man, my wife better not see that. On the 15% grade hill test, the Haze needed pedal assist, but it was minimal effort. While the Bolt Pro, you felt like you were purely pedaling at that point. The motor just had very little impact on that hill. Next up, comfort. The Jetson Bolt Pro is a small e-bike. It is short, it has small wheels. The seats are okay, not great. And it has a hard front and rear tail. In my opinion, neither are designed for very long rides, so they can get a bit uncomfortable. However, the Haze is clearly next level. The shock in the rear is surprisingly comfortable, and that's possibly why there's a hit to the range, because soaking up all these ground imperfections, you're going to ever so slightly slow down your momentum. It's a minor and notable trade-off. Neither can be adjusted much in height. The Jetson Haze is definitely for a bit taller folks. Look at the handlebars. It's just not that much, but it's there. Folding ability. Both have folding handlebars, and in my opinion, this has the biggest impact on the folding mechanism of these e-bikes. Secondly, it's probably the pedals. It can seem inconsequential, but more often than not, I'll fold the pedals and the handlebar, and that's it. There's no need to go any further. It's certainly nice that the Haze can fold in half. You just have to keep in mind that it becomes a fairly large square shape. The Jetson Bolt Pro doesn't come with folding pedals, so you have to get that as an aftermarket option. It's not expensive, around $20, $30. It's nice that the Jetson Haze can fold in half, but realistically, when compared to the Jetson Bolt Pro, it's somewhat a non-factor. Having a shorter solid frame has its advantage. You don't have to worry about a hinge breaking. And the advantage of the Haze is that because of the folding mechanism, the battery is neatly tucked away and can be removed for long-term storage during the winter, anti-theft measure, or swapped for double the range. And you know what? Jetson sells these batteries at extremely affordable prices. Next up, the informational panel. Both show power levels, and that's the only metric you really need to know. It'd be nice if they had a speedometer and odometer, however, that's hardly a deal breaker. These are not terribly fast e-bikes, so at the fastest, you're going to be at the level of a conventional bike, and it's probably not a good idea to show that the Jetson is going below advertised speed. Sure, if you're going much faster, then you want to know because you don't want to break any speed limits. That's not the case here. Let's talk about security. The Jetson Haze comes with a rotor lock, and it was thoughtful that they consider something like that. However, that lock kind of scrubs on the rotors if you're not positioning it right, and if you have it locked, somebody could just pick it up and walk away with it. I think it would have been better if they considered an alarm instead, because think about it, if somebody, like some guy, steals your wife, you might not know about it, right? But if that guy finds out that your wife can talk for 15 hours straight, might not steal it. Having your ears blasted is a good deterrent. Next up, 14 versus 16-inch tires. Now, I really couldn't tell much, but there is a 2-inch difference. Not gonna lie, look at the wheels on the Jetson Haze compared to the Bolt. This one looks a million times better. The Jetson Haze is slightly taller, but at the same time, it's also a little bit longer, so you definitely feel it. But if it were purely the wheel, I can't really say. And build quality. Well, these e-bikes, they don't offer the best build quality. I mean, the Jetson Haze and the Bolt Pro, they are similar in that regard. There's nothing that is like that really strikes out that it's the top-notch build quality or whatnot. I mean, I've had some stuff break on probably both of them. It is what it is. It's decent, but support. Well, they have the same support, which is the email system on ridejetson.com, which is the phone system on ridejetson.com that they don't pick up. Or your last option is to return it at Costco, because Costco is gracious like that. You pay membership fees, that's what you get. When you get one of these e-bikes, you're probably going to learn about how to fix bikes, because that's just what you do. You're gonna have to fix it or modify or maintain it at some point. And there's not a lot to do other than, because it's a basic bike with a single gear, it doesn't have a derailleur. So it's quite simple in that regard. You might have to lube up your chain, or you might have to loosen your chain. But other than that, there's not a lot of maintenance that has to be done. Your brakes, they're disc brakes, they're not caliper brakes, so they work pretty good. And aside from that, so you'll have to learn those little things, and if you have issues long term, you can return it at Costco. Modifications. Well, the Jetson Haze, I still haven't figured out how to modify it. I mean, you can add a front bag, but at the same time, you're going to cover your handlebars, and the handlebars are, like I said, it's one of the most important folding aspects of the e-bike, because once you have the handlebars down, it fits in all sorts of places. Look at the Jetson Haze. It has these mounting points right here with no actual accessories to mount. While the Jetson Bolt Pro, well, it has a conventional bike mount, and so you could do a rear rack and mount stuff. So this is where the Jetson Haze can run into some trouble with the rear accessories, is because of the shock system. It's going to pivot right here. You can see the seat system already has a problem, because it could only go down so far, or else it's going to hit this shock. So by the same token, if you have a rear rack here, it can hit this part right here. So it has to be small and short. Where I went to go look for accessories is from maybe the Fido or maybe the Angway, but I just haven't found anything at this moment. And lastly is the price. The Jetson Haze goes for $599. The Jetson Bolt Pro, if you can find it, is usually $350 to $300. But if you get it on sale, okay, so the Jetson Haze, you can get it for $499 once it's on sale, and it goes on sale probably maybe twice a year, 3 times a year at most. So when you get it during those times, $499 compared to $349 isn't a bad deal. You're getting 48 volts, and it's going to be much more, it's a beefier ride, and it's more stable. It has more power. Granted, it doesn't have much more top speed. Look, with the $300 difference, Yeah, the Jetson Haze can feel a bit steep, but with the $150 difference, it's hard to deny. The price difference, it is substantial. And the Jetson Haze, personally, it's not my first choice just because of the lack of the accessories I can do right now. Even though I have a Jetson Haze, but I have a few other Jetson Bolt Pros, and because they have the rear rack system, I can load stuff if I'm going to run an errand. I can bring a small child with me. I could bring a backpack comfortably on there and just strap it down. I have the pannier, air pannier system. It works flawlessly as well. The center frame, are you really going to mount a battery here? Well, you can mount it here, of course, because this is just a one piece. This one, you mount something here and then you can no longer fold, right? You want the folding mechanism, sort of, but if you're willing to go without it, sure, you can mount something here, just drill some holes and mount a plate on top. If you don't want to tinker, the Jetson Haze is the one for you. It is a bona fide successor to the Jetson Bolt Pro. It has that battery that's more powerful. It has a smoother ride, and you can get a spare battery for even less than you can with the Jetson Bolt Pro. On the flip side, if you do want to tinker or you just don't want to spend that much, then the Jetson Bolt Pro is for you. And down the line, you can upgrade the Jetson Bolt Pro in many ways. It is one of those e-bikes that just has so many modifications, and you can end up overspending on your upgrades. So just keep that in mind. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.